Welcome to Hatha Yoga. In this class today, we'll be using a wall as a prop for support and stability. So be sure to take your yoga mat close to a wall that you can bring your legs up onto. And in addition to that, having a block or a prop, something that you can bring between your knees at some point when we'll be using that. So let's first start taking a comfortable seat and elevating your hips. And this is my BFF, Carissa Dog Jackson. She'll be here practicing with us today. So take a seat and make yourself comfortable for the first few breaths to help us get centered. Relaxing your gaze or closing your eyes, taking in a few moments to let the energy settle and call your attention from outside inward. So any need to do later on, or where you've been, can you unplug from those things and connect into just being here, breathing, feeling, and connecting to your heart. Now let's bring the hands up onto the energetic heart, beginning our practice in gratitude. Take a few moments to internally express and give thanks to those blessings that you have in your life. And this could include the blessings of being where you get to be in the moment, or thanks to the body, or the teachers that you have in your life, or having your best friend here with you when you get to do your yoga practice. And then let's deepen our breaths, being a little more mindful, more intention with the breath, a little valving at the throat to regulate the length of inhales and exhales. And then take your hands down either to the side of your hips or one hand to the low belly, one hand to the low back. Let's feel the breath coming down as you breathe in. Just let the belly soften. And when you breathe out, pull the navel in towards the low back. And feel that shift of energy and breath down in your low area of your body. Let's do that 2 or 3 times. Intention of bringing the energy from the head down, grounding it and rooting it. Checking in with your low back, give it one more big full breath. And then releasing your hands. Let's join each other over onto our backs with our feet resting up on the wall and have props closest at hand, such as a block. You may even want to have a strap there. So turn around, be about a shin's distance away from the wall. And when you come down onto your back, be sure to have your sacrum and your lower back completely down on the floor, that you're not lifting up away from the floor. Be pressing onto the wall. Take your hands and bring them on your legs and then press into your legs. Let the shoulders come up a little bit until you feel a little bit of a traction space coming into the legs and into the spine. Deepening your breath. And then do a little pelvic rocking. Tilt your tailbone down towards the floor and then up towards the ceiling, engaging your glutes. So a small movement in the low spine. If any of this is pinching or doesn't feel good, I want you to find the place that you can be and breathe into that does feel good and stable. So do not push through pain. One more big full focused breath with movement. And then let the hands go. Open your knees open your feet, turning your toes out, and then take the hands either closer up towards the hips or grab the thighs and gently pull open. And then press strongly into the wall. Give yourself some stability there. And find the sweet spot for the low back and the hips. So you may want to explore tailbone down a little bit, or neutral, or up. Where does it give your low back space where you can bring the breath down? Feeling for full body breaths. One more full breath. Keep pressing into the wall as though you're standing on the floor. And then on the exhale, heel to walk your feet in, grab your yoga prop and bring it between your legs. And it could be between your knees or it could be between your inner legs. Squeeze the prop and then push into the wall, sacrum flat down on the floor. Interlace your fingers, flip your hands and raise your arms up above you. Bring them up above the head and give yourself about 3 more focused breaths. Using the inner legs and using the wall for more stability and support. Feeling the floor underneath your sacrum help rebalance if you have any kind of misalignments there in the sacrum or low back. Sometimes this position, just the weight of the pelvis coming down, it really does help bring it back into alignment. And then exhale, release. Take out the block and bring your left leg up. This is where you could use a strap or your hands and do some points and flexes with the left foot while the right foot is still pressing into the wall. Let the bones of your hips and sacrums weight down into the floor. And then point the foot, spread your toes. So we start to open up the bones of the feet. Little bit of a knee bend, bring your leg in closer to you. And continue to press that right foot at the wall. Two or three more breaths. Feeling the jaw relax, the shoulders come down, and kind of melting tension through the back side of the leg, the hips, and the sacrum. And then bend the left knee, put the ankle on the thigh. Let's come back to traction. Take your hands on your legs, press your legs towards the wall. You just notice how that's feeling around the left hip, around the glutes. Keeping the weight of your pelvis down evenly. Try not to lean or tilt to one side. And then also notice what's happening in the low back. If your low back is pressing into the mat, does that feel good? We all have different shapes in our body. Or do you want to arch the low back up a little bit? Does that feel more stable to you? 1 or 2 more breaths, creating space, opening that left side of your glutes and piriformis. And then exhale, let that go, put the left foot on the wall, and then bring your right leg up. Then we can do some points and flexes here. Strap on the foot, optional. Left foot pushing into the wall for stability. And then point up through the foot, spread the toes. Feel the top of your ankle and foot open up, and then do a little more of a knee bend and bring the right leg in closer towards you. Opening up that back side of your right leg. Weight of the hips and sacrum coming down evenly. Give it 1 or 2 more breaths. And then exhale, bring that right ankle up onto the thigh, hands on the legs, and then press the legs towards the wall. Use the left foot as well, pushing the left foot into the wall for more stability. The bones of the pelvis more balanced so that you're not leaning over onto that right hip. Good, 1 or 2 more breaths. Notice what's happening in the low back, if it's popped up, or do you want to have it come down towards the floor for more space and support? And then exhale, release. Bring both feet to the wall. And then open your knees once again. Come back into that frog stance, toes facing out. And this time interlace your fingers, flip your hands, and lift your arms up above you. Stand into your feet. You could also adjust the toes where the toes are facing up instead of out, depending on how that feels in your sacrum or in your low spine. Knees, sending them away from the hips until you feel that opening across the inner thighs. Two or three more breaths. Flood your whole body with your inhale. And on the exhale, engage your abs, pull belly towards low back. Exhale, release the arms, close the knees. And then drape your left thigh over the top of your right thigh. Push your right foot into the wall and then squeeze between your legs. Interlacing your hands back behind your head. Let's check in with the sacrum. Notice if your sacrum has lifted up. Can you relax your sacrum that's just above the tailbone down onto the floor? Push into the wall, keeping the sacrum down. Breathe in. Exhale, lift up off of the shoulders, come up, and then the end of your breath, draw your pelvic floor in and squeeze your legs and your glutes. Inhale, smoothly come down. Keep your lower body contracted. Exhale, lift up. Hold, draw in the pelvic floor. Inhale, smoothly come back down, and let's do that 4 more times. And then when you come all the way down, stay down, release your hands, and let's support the left leg out to the side. Come into half happy baby. Sole of the left foot facing up, right foot pushing into the wall, hips and sacrum down. So notice that that tailbone kind of lifted up, bring the weight of the pelvis down. Left knee comes off to the side of the ribs. If it's hard for you to hold the foot, you could come underneath the leg behind the knee. Give that about 2 or 3 more breaths. Bring the left ankle back over onto the thigh. And you could go back to tractioning like we did earlier, or pick up the right foot off of the wall and bring both legs in closer to your body. Sacrum coming down, low back may lift up or press down, depending on how that feels to you. Try to be balanced in your pelvis, where you're not tilting over or leaning over to one side more than the other. And on the exhale, bring your foot back to the wall, bring the other foot to the wall, and then take both hands on the legs, press. Give yourself 3 breaths. Press feet into wall, press hands into legs. Notice the position of your low back and your sacrum. If you want to bring the sacrum down closer to the floor, turn the tailbone up a little bit. What gives you relief and helps you breathe deeper? And exhale, let that go. Right leg comes over left, squeeze at the legs, interlace your hands, and then shift each finger over one and bring them back behind your head. Checking in with stability here. Left foot pushing into the wall, squeezing through the legs. Breathe in. Exhale, curl up off of the upper back, and then squeeze thighs, squeeze glutes, and draw pelvic floor in and up. Inhale, smoothly traction out the neck on the way down. And let's do that 5 more cycles. On the exhale, lift up. Giving that contraction. Breathe in, smoothly come back down. And 4 more times. Try not to push on your head. Let your head fall into your hands. So we're working the center core to lift us and lower us. When you come all the way back down, add that extra traction for the neck. Releasing. And then taking the right leg over to half baby. Left foot could adjust on the wall, pushing onto the wall. Pull behind the knee or reach up for your foot. And then go back down into the low spine and feel for adjusting that until you have space and a feeling of comfort in your low back. And opening across the inner right leg and stability as you push into the left foot. If you have any pinching sensations, adjust. Back release variation, right ankle hooks onto the thigh, either go back to traction or lift the left foot from the wall, from off of the wall. And do a little exploration in the low spine. What happens if you bring your sacrum and your tailbone closer to the floor? How does that feel? Versus if your tailbone was lifting up. One or two more very deep breaths. And exhale, bringing your foot to the wall, both feet come back to the wall. And do a little walking move, press one foot, then the other onto the wall. Feet stepping down to the floor. And either feet can be narrow or you could widen them out, bring your arms in a goalpost position, and then bring your knees to the left, look right. Let's stay here, opening up the front of the right hip and the hip flexors here. Sending your right knee towards the wall. So really opening that up around the front of the right hip and thigh. And then bring your knees across center, go over in the other direction, looking to the left. And then come on back to center, walk your feet in, grab your block or your prop, bring it between your legs, keeping your feet down on the floor. And then lift your hips up, come into bridge pose, walking the shoulders under. Making any adjustments as needed for comfort. Turn the tailbone towards the knees, send the knees towards the wall. Lightly squeezing onto the prop. Give it 1 or 2 more breaths. Bring your arms beside your shoulders, and then exhale, bring the hips back down. And then take out the prop. Let's come into happy baby, holding behind the legs or both feet. Sacrum coming down, and do a little exploration again, what feels good to the sacrum and the low back. Your chin is lifted, bring your chin in towards the throat, so you're lengthening the back of the neck. One more big full breath. And then on the exhale, release. Feet come down to the floor, roll to the right side. And then press yourself up. And come over onto your hands and your knees. Bring padding where you need it. Bring your feet in fairly close to the wall. So we'll continue to work with the wall here. Hands on the floor. Toes tucked. Feet are very close to the wall space here. And then once you arrive, a little bit of cat-cow as you exhale round, or a little Chakrapasana. Inhale, open the front. And exhale, round. Squeeze between your legs when you're rounding your back. So you could even bring a block there if you'd like, just as a reminder to use the inner legs for stability. And then tabletop position, walk your hands forward. L shape with your fingers, spread and extend your fingers out away from the wrists. Downward facing dog, lift up, have your heels on the wall. And let your head and neck and shoulders relax. Reach through the arms. So you could stay here, or if you'd like to extend the right leg up the wall and then engage the right glutes, you could do that. Exhale, bringing your foot down and going to the other side. If you want to take a little mini break, you could come through child's pose, 3 breaths, and then go to the second side. Engage your left glutes to kind of pull and lift the hips out of the low back. Exhale, feet down, knees come down, and then let's come up our hands and do some wrist circles here. Almost forgot the name of the body part. Circle your hands around. And then bring your hands back onto the floor. Coming into a forward fold at the back of our mat. So tuck your toes under, bend your knees, and then crawl in until your butt comes to the wall. If you need to walk your feet forward, you can, but keep those glutes onto the wall, belly in, and relax the neck. Huge breath. Just notice how that's feeling. And then walk your hands away from the wall. Walk your dog, set the knees down, and then come back into child's pose. 3 breaths. And then come forward back onto your hands and your knees. Walk your hands towards the top of your mat so you have lots of room to come down onto your belly. Coming down to the belly, in addition to that, some of you that have low back stuff, you may want to put a pillow underneath your belly when you come down to the floor, just so that you have a little more support for your low back. So coming down and come up into Sphinx once you're on your belly. Once you're prone, bring elbows under shoulders or slightly forward. Hands down. Legs about a comfortable hip width apart. And then lift through the head a little bit. Awareness around the hips and pelvis. Again, imagine you have that block between your legs and you're holding that there and you're tilting your tailbone toward your heels at the same time. So you're creating lots of stability and support for the low back. One more full breath. Exhale, come on down. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Press yourself up. Come onto your hands and your knees. And let's do a lunge here. So take your left foot forward and have the block, the right hand holding the block. And then sit your hips back. Take your left thumb into the crease of your thigh and sit it back. So you want to notice if that left hip is kind of jutting out to the side. Pull it back towards the wall behind you. And then you could stay down here, or you could tuck the right toes under and extend your right heel towards the wall behind in a crescent variation. Keep that left hip coming back behind you towards the wall. And then imagine you're holding that prop between your legs again. So use the inner legs for stability. Ease the right knee down. And then come up a little bit higher onto the floor and bring the shoulders back, the chest opens. And then let the right hip come forward and down. So you're opening up through the front of the right hip. Notice how that feels. And if you're feeling pretty stable there, take the right arm up. One more full vibrant breath. Exhale, take the hand to the block, Release, and let's bring knees underneath us. Step right leg forward, and then adjust the block under the left hand. Right thumb hooks into the crease of the thigh and sit back with your hips. You get a little traction here too. You can stay here or tuck left toes under, bring left knee up. Keep sitting that right hip back and engage your inner legs. Are you using your glutes on the left side? How about your abs? Are you pulling the belly up? And then exhale, ease the left knee down. Let the hips spill forward and the chest comes back up. Engage around the left hip, and you can keep the hand down or bring left arm up. Exhale, bring the hand down if it's lifted, and then use your abs to recenter your legs. Come up onto your knees. The knees could be up on a bolster. Carissa's gonna stay here facing forward. I'm gonna go to the wall because I need a little more support. So you can choose to do camel pose as Carissa is, or you could join me and taking your legs, your hips and thighs right to the wall. And then all of us taking our hands around the sides of the hip towards the low back. So if you're using the wall, press your pubic bone to the wall or your belly to the wall. Keep it there and then lift your ribs up the wall, kind of drag them towards the sky. And then use the glutes to pull and stabilize the low back open. Here with Carissa, you could lean back maybe just a little bit where there's zero strain. You want to keep the low back freed up as you open upper body away from lower body. Shoulder blades squeeze in, so you may need to find a placement for your hands that you can really lift up. And then exhale, release, stepping away from the wall if you're there. And then go ahead and turn around and let's go back to hands and knees. Counter pose of downward facing dog, heels come up the wall. And that option to keep the heels raised or even start to bring the heels down towards the floor. Keep the sit bones lifting high. Give it 3 or 4 more breaths. And then exhale, knees come down, child's pose. And then come sit on the floor. As you come sit down on the floor, you may want to elevate your hips up onto something. And bring both legs out in front of you. Come into staff pose. Bring your hands behind you. Reach through your legs, pressing the legs down towards the floor. Bring the head back over the spine. And then exhale, bend the left knee. Bring your left hip behind you. So you're not completely squared up towards the front of your mat. Then lift up, and on the exhale, right hand catches the knee, spinal twist. Exhale, unwind the twist, and then take your left hand to the outside of your right knee. And you could stay or slide down toward your foot. Breathing in, lift up. And exhale, left leg comes out. And then right foot comes in, bring that right hip back. And then sit up. Exhale, twist to right. Use the right hand behind you to press down on the floor for stability. Reach out through the left leg so that left leg doesn't get sleepy. Exhale, unwind, and then take the right hand to the outside of the leg and or slide towards the foot. Expressing breath through the right side of your low back up into the ribs. And breathing in, come on up. Both legs come out in front. And then gather your feet together in Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together. Lift up, and if you want to come forward into a forward fold, you're welcome to, or you could stay uplifted here with me. One more full breath. And then come on up if you're in your forward fold. Coming to Shavasana, you could take it stretched out on your mat with something underneath your knees, or if you'd like to take this as an inversion, which would continue having the bones of the sacrum kind of settle into the floor, you can join us from whatever is most comfortable. Just make sure that that's key, that it's comfortable. Legs can be in any position. They could be lifted up in the air, or you could slide them down, or maybe a combination of those positions or shapes. And then once you're here, do a little body scan. And feel into where you can let go, where you can be more at rest. And taking the hands on the low belly. Do a little gentle massage below your navel. Just little baby circular movements with the weight of your hands, helping with the digestion and the release in the lower body, the Apana Vayu, the downward wind. And then go up to the upper part of your belly, just under the diaphragm. Same kind of little circular flat palm, weight of the hands pressing down. And then bend your knees, bring your knees in towards your body. Give yourself some breaths. Optional to lift the head, kind of curl your whole body, flexing the spine. And then your head coming back down. If you've raised it, rolling to the left, and let's sit back up together. So as you return to sitting, navigate your space, sitting up. And then feel for wholeness in each breath. Connecting the body, the mind, the breath. And bringing your hands back to your heart, returning the focus to gratitude. Deepen your breath once you get that feeling of uplift inside of you as you connect to your gratitude. To moving that healing energy throughout your entire system. And closing your practice. Thank you for allowing us to guide you. Blessings to you.